Gentlemen, cock your pistols. Gentlemen.
Hey, hello, and welcome to my channel. As you can see from the title, today we're talking about Barry Lyndon, Stanley Kubrick's beautiful film from 1975, and we're asking the question, why does this film actually look like a painting? Of course, many artists from the 1700s and the early 1800s were used as a reference for the look of this film. So let's see if we can identify a few of these artists that inspired Kubrick, as well as a few surprises I found myself. Oh, and side note, I am very familiar with the special Zeiss lenses made to be used on the moon by NASA that were used in this film. The use of slow zoom shots that sort of flatten out the frame like a painting, and a certain aspect ratio, as well as the candlelight ambiance of many scenes. But that's really the subject of another video. Today we're just talking about the paintings that inspire or actually inhabit every scene in this film. Also, I know this list may not be complete, but these are the artists that stood out to me. Now, these beautiful shots of a duel at the beginning of the film, to me, are some of the most painterly in the whole movie. But the first painter I'm actually going to bring up is one you may not know. It's George Stubbs, an English painter from the late 1700s, and he was often well known for his horse paintings, like this one from 1786. I really have to notice the richness of the colors here. And of course, there are many shots of Barry with horses. And of course, horses were the main way people traveled back then. Next, there are multiple landscape and classic architecture compositions, such as these showing Barry escaping in a coach as he leaves a grand house. These, in my opinion, are evocative of the English painter John Constable, who was also painting in the late 1700s and early 1800s, and is well known for landscapes, as you can see from this shot in the film of Lady Lyndon's house, and a very similar painting by John Constable. The next obvious similarity that stands out to me is the distinct dress and even the hair and hats of Lady Lyndon. Look at this portrait of a lady by Thomas Gainsborough from 1778, and there's a very familiar look to Lady Lyndon in the film. Again, here we see a beautiful shot of Lady Lyndon at the card game where she meets Barry, and another painting by Gainsborough from 1777. In the same vein, here we see a closer view of Lady Lyndon, and now compare the opulent style to another English painter named Joshua Reynolds, who was actually the principal painter to King George III and a contemporary of Gainsborough. Here again is Lady Lyndon at home from later in the film, and this wonderful painting of three ladies in gray powdered wigs from 1780. The overall look of Lady Lyndon is very much inspired by these type of paintings. Now, here's a really interesting painting from 1782 by Swiss artist Johann Heinrich Fussli, and it's called The Nightmare, a title that fits this scene where Lady Lyndon is in distress. And also interesting because some scholars see Jungian ideas about the unconscious in the painting. Now, although we've talked about many artists, I have to say, I think the artist that has the biggest influence on this film is Thomas Gainsborough. Just the number of similarities in the portraits to the style we see people in, as well as a general country feel, a slow pace of life, if you will, that we see in the film. But we definitely also see in these many paintings by Thomas Gainsborough, most from the mid 1700s to the late 1700s. One unusual detail I noticed is that in more than one scene, we see Lady Lyndon looking extremely similar to Mary Gainsborough, who is the daughter of Thomas Gainsborough. In fact, by the end of the film, it can be argued that Lady Lyndon has also started to resemble Margaret Gainsborough, the wife of Thomas Gainsborough, or maybe a combination of the two. Of course, we can't talk about Barry Lyndon and painting without discussing William Hogarth, an English painter working mostly in the mid 1700s. This one is from his Marriage series of paintings. And of course, you can see the similarities in this shot of a drunk Barry slumped in a chair towards the end of the film. Of course, the painting is about the breakdown of a marriage. And this painting from 1743 shows a marriage contract being signed, which almost reminds me of Lady Lyndon at the end of the film as she signs another check to Barry, who's long gone. And one last unusual detail, almost an Easter egg in this film, is the Reverend Samuel Runt, played so wonderfully by actor Murray Melvin, who of course worked for Lady Lyndon. But guess what I found? This is actually a self-portrait of Thomas Gainsborough. The resemblance to me is so close that I think actor Murray Melvin may have been cast in the role because he actually looks like Gainsborough in real life. Just my opinion, but I kind of like that Kubrick may have stuck this one last detail into the film for us to discover. Well, that's my new video about why Kubrick's film Barry Lyndon looks like a painting. Hope you liked it. I'm working on something really interesting for next week, and I hope to have that finished soon. Also, I'd like to thank you in advance for any comments you might leave me. I always like reading them. And you can hit that subscribe button if you like. It does help my channel. But either way, my name is Shim. I want to thank you for spending time with me, and have a great day.